Strategy is the single biggest factor in whether or not a business succeeds. But founders get things wrong about it all the time. So stick around because I'm going to cover what strategy is and isn't, and the 5 pitfalls that you need to avoid if you want to get your strategy right. 2017, I'm sat in my living room with a friend and we're whispering because my baby is asleep on my chest. Being on maternity leave had given me some time to finally think about strategy for the first time ever. I decided the strategy for my business would be to win in the textured hair space by offering fantastic products designed with customers and sold on a really brilliant website. The problem was that my website sucked. It was a hack together on WordPress with a WooCommerce plugin. It just wasn't very good. So what I'm talking about with my friend in my living room is the fact that there's this new software that looks really cool. And the new software is Shopify. We decide to build a Shopify store and we spend the next few weeks working through my baby's nap times until we are ready to launch. And when we launch, we're expecting sales to increase a little bit, maybe 1 or 2%. Sales tripled overnight. So the customers were waiting to buy from us and the website was so bad that they couldn't. And in that moment, I learned how important it is to have a clear strategy, because we could have attempted to grow a different way. We could have tried to get into loads of retailers, but then we wouldn't have been able to gather the data we needed to continually iterate with the business. And that turning point, that moment allowed me to hire that friend as employee number 1. It allowed me to grow the stores from the point where we were doing about 1 to 3 sales a day to 3 to 9 sales a day and really celebrating it. And then suddenly there were days where we would do 100 sales in a day. That change was only possible because of strategy. So what is strategy? Here's the key. Strategy is not your goals. Strategy is not your to-do list. And strategy has many different definitions, so let's look at some of them. Michael Porter at Harvard says strategy is the creation of a unique and valuable position involving a different set of activities. Richard Ruhlmann says a good strategy is a diagnosis, a guiding policy, and coherent actions. Henry Mintzberg says strategy isn't just a plan. It can be a pattern, a position, or a perspective. In plain English, strategy is about making choices that create a clear path to success. Okay, here's the tea. Founders make so many mistakes when it comes to strategy, and you can understand why. If the top business schools can't even come up with a united, cohesive definition, then how are founders supposed to figure it out? The reality is, at this point, I have read thousands of pitch decks. I judge for a number of startup competitions, including Pharrell Williams' Black Ambition Prize, and I see the same patterns again and again and again. And I just wish that I could round up all the founders and tell them stop doing these 5 things. So let's get into it. Mistake number 1, confusing strategy with goals. Grow revenue by 20% is a goal, not a strategy. Mistake 2, mistaking tactics for strategy. Ads, posts, and hires are all tactics. They're important, but they're not strategy. Mistake number 3, trying to do everything. Real strategy is about boundaries. It means saying no to the things that are not part of your strategic thesis so that you can say yes to everything that is part of your strategy. Mistake number 4, being vague. We'll be the best. We'll change the world. Sounds really nice, but that's not a strategy. Those are your dreams. They're okay to have. They don't need to be in your pitch deck. Mistake number 5, ignoring reality. This one is crucial. Your strategy needs to account for your resources and your constraints. If you are still working a 9 to 5 and you're bootstrapping, you cannot have a strategy that involves you putting in 40 to 50 to 60 hours of work a week. You just can't. You need to make sure your strategy is realistic. It has to be grounded in the actual world that you inhabit at the time that you write it. And I'll give you a bonus one. I know I said 5. The 6th common mistake that I see, and this is even for founders who've not made those other 5 mistakes, is treating strategy as static. It's not a one-time document that you just make and then leave to collect dust in the cloud. It is something that has to be dynamic, has to evolve with you. Your strategy cannot stand still or your business will be overrun. Right, point 3, the jargon. Buzzwords make things super confusing, so I'm going to break down some of the most common bits of jargon, and it should make things a lot clearer. Vision is your ultimate destination. Vision is your North Star. This is where you would like to get to, and that is an essential thing to put into place before you start to write your strategy document. Strategy is the map. This is your chosen path, and it takes into account the trade-offs you're making and the things that you're saying no to. Goals and objectives are just waypoints along the route. They're not the route itself, they're not the strategy, but they are important, and they can be strategic or they can be confusing. Key results are the road. They prove that you're on the right track, and you use them with your objectives to create OKRs, objectives and key results. The tactics are just the steps that you take every day, the things that you try to do to make your strategy work. When you zoom out, strategy is the big map. And when you zoom in, OKRs are like your area map. They are your checkpoints along the way. And we're going to talk about both of these. Okay, so the principles. I've told you what you shouldn't do. How about what you should do? And here there are 3 key things. So you want to set your vision before you get started. This is crucial. You need to know where you want to go and why you want to get there. You need to basically gather your data, talk to your customers, and come up with a thesis before you do anything. This doesn't have to be involved. It can be really simple, just on a bit of paper. Then the next one you want to do is decide what you're not going to do. You need almost an antithesis. So shiny idea syndrome, I get it, I have it, it's hard, but it kills businesses. If you are launching extra ranges, if you are focusing too much on splashy PR, if you're aligning with these big partnerships thinking they're going to open doors, you will get distracted. Unless they fit in with your core thesis, your core strategy, they're just distractions. And sometimes businesses burn out because they aren't able to actually follow through with the things that they announce on social media. And this brings me to my third and probably most important strategic point, which is alignment with your resources. Your time, your money, and your energy have to all push in the same direction. Don't scatter them. Make sure that you are realistic about the budget you have. And I'm also taking into account money, but time and energy. Think about your budget and make sure that that whole budget works together to push you into a strategic direction that takes you closer to your vision. Okay, when you take strategy and you put it into action, you see shifts, you see positive changes that will help to make your business a success. In my first business, when I put my strategy into place, as I said, sales tripled overnight. But then I had to adjust and adapt. So we were doing really well online, and suddenly people were saying in our research that they wanted to find the products in store. So when I started to speak to stockists, I was able to use the information I had gathered to create my strategy to actually convince them to join me on that journey and to help them see that my strategy aligned with their strategy and we could have success working in partnership. Those conversations, those strategic conversations, led to us launching in Whole Foods UK, and we were the first brand of our kind to do so. We then got into Superdrug, we got into Holland & Barrett's and their clean and conscious beauty concept store, and eventually we got into Selfridges, which was a real pinch me crazy moment. I remember being pregnant with my twins and going with my team and taking these crazy photos outside of the store with my massive bump looking like I'm about to give birth, but I was only about 5 months pregnant. And it was just such an incredible moment for me that tied together everything and showed me the strategy really works. So that's the power of a good strategy. And I want you to have those pinch me moments. So it's about putting those things into practice. So strategy isn't a buzzword. It's not a to-do list. It is your map. Strategy is the thing that guides you. It shows you where you're going, what to ignore, and how to use your resources to get to the place that you want to go. So here's my challenge. I want you to finish this sentence in the comments. My business will become the X by Y. For example, Aya Botanicals will become the most trusted sustainable hair care brand by building scientifically formulated products hand in hand with our community. Over to you. You can use your business, your idea or dream for a business, or you can borrow mine. Just write it in the comments below and I will comment and give you feedback on the start of your strategy. That's where OKRs come in. They help you to turn your strategy into measurable progress. So follow along and make sure you watch my next video on OKRs, on what they are and on how to use them. When you combine this video with the OKR video, you'll be unstoppable. If you want to dive deeper, I recommend these books. The first is The Art of War by Sun Ji. This is about the map of strategy and choosing your battles wisely, aligning with deciding what not to do. The next book is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Covey. I love this book because it clarifies the destination and compass, or your vision and values, before moving forward. And the final book is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. This is an absolute must read. This book helps you to think all about your purpose. That's the why that powers the map. Some other really good books I'd recommend include The Lean Startup and Measure What Matters, and I'll link them all in the description box below, along with some information on why you might enjoy them. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.